Hi, this is Stacia, and today we're going to look at a training game that I played on chess.com. So I'm still on the road to 1800, and even though I fell below 1700 again, I do believe I can make it. So we're going to have a look at this game, see what we can learn. Okay, so I played the move e4, and after e5, knight f3, knight to c6, and bishop c4. My opponent played a move that I found interesting. He played the move d6. So I'm not all that familiar with this move. And actually I want to check the opening book because yeah, it's fourth most common and it scores quite well for white. I mean, there's two main moves here, and that's bishop c5 and knight f6. And I have lines against those two moves. d6, though, is just like, it shuts in the bishop, and it's sort of unambitious, but I'm sure it's playable. So, okay, I castle because what else? Let's see what the main move was. Yeah, you can play d4 here. Perhaps I should have, or even c3. If d4, they just play bishop e7. Wow. They could also take, though. And after knight takes, they can just play knight f6. And we can castle and play this way. This reminds me of some philidor positions where d6 is played early. Okay, so let's continue. I chose to castle, which I think is, if you don't know the opening, like you're out of book, then follow opening principles and just watch out for any sneaky threats. It's hard to argue with castles. I mean, it's totally fine. Okay, knight f6. Yeah, and I probably could try knight g5 here. I mean, as long as the bishop is still at home, knight g5 is a move. Yeah, computer says knight g5 is strong. Just checked it. So, I'm a little disappointed I didn't see knight g5. But that's okay. Okay, I'm going to turn the engine back off. I played knight to c3, following opening principles. And I'm basically saying that if you want to put your bishop on g4, I still have the option of bishop e2 to break the pin. And then he hopped his knight in, which feels premature to me. And let's see if the computer agrees with that assessment. So, yeah, it's saying bishop e7 or bishop g4. Both I agree with. This move, I mean, I can take the knight. That's one potential option. That's the one the computer wants. So let's see why. I didn't choose this because I thought, okay, this attacks my knight. But the computer says knight e2 is fine. I thought if this, he could go here. Now the computer says c3. Wow. Oh, break down the pawn chain. Yeah, and I think this move works because he doesn't have this. The bishop is actually guarding it. Doesn't have this move either. So I can understand why this would be good. Like we can basically, well, it's saying d3 now. So, okay, in this structure, white or black has a weak d6 pawn. So I kind of get it, but I don't know. I think the way I played it is just fine. So let's go back. After knight c3 and knight in, I simply played h3. I'm like, okay, I'm going to play d3. So I'm going to stop the pin now before it gets too annoying. Okay, he played c6. I guess going for d5, which seems, again, premature. Like your king's in the center, right? So I would expect bishop b7 castles, and then if you want to play this plan, you know, maybe that could work, but you should probably get your king safe. So, okay, I played d3, which is natural. Wow, I'm actually surprised by this. The computer is saying that black is better after the move b5. I didn't consider this. So b5, I would go bishop b3, no doubt. And computer says a5. So I guess the computer is really impressed with the space advantage on the queen side. And computer engines often are. But okay, now it's backing off and saying it's equal after a4, which is probably what I would play. That's sort of a thematic move here. But okay, after c6, d3, he did not play b5, he played d5, which, okay, this just breaks foundation principles, which is, you know, if you're better developed, open up the position. And if you're not, you should keep the position closed. And here d5 opens up the position, right? I mean, his king's in the center. He's 2 moves away from castling. So d5 is just too early. So I can take with confidence, I think. Yes, he gets the pawn center. But I feel like it's temporary. My knight's attacking here. And my pieces are ready to do some damage. You know, I have one more piece to develop, maybe the bishop, and that's it. Then I'm ready to bring my rooks to the center with check. So I felt that my opponent was playing a little bit too ambitious here, and he should just develop and castle before this plan. Yeah, and bishop b3, I actually saw a line here where I thought I might lose, and that's this line. After check, I thought I might lose here. He can take, and I take back, which is all well and good, but what about this? Queen a5 check. It's not even check. Okay, never mind. I failed to see that I already castled. Unless I was looking at this earlier. Might have been, actually. Yeah, my king's castled. There's no check. So that move's just silly. Okay, never mind. Sorry, you guys. That's why I'm not a grandmaster. And I'm only 1600. Okay. But bishop b3. So I probably could check here. That's what I'm thinking. But why do that? I don't want to give up my bishop. Yeah, knight takes b5 is just fine. I mean, it's still okay for white, but I don't like it. I think bishop b3 is probably better. Okay. So I went here. He did take. And now at this point of the game, okay, now my rook's open, right? So I'm even better developed. And he took his strongest piece, which he bravely put in the center of the board. I'm sorry, it was here. And he traded it off. So the king's still in the center. I really think that it's funny, sometimes I play in chess.com and my opponents play so well, I'm just baffled at how I lost. Then there's games like this where, no offense to my opponent if he's watching, but, you know, you should get your king safe. Doing things out of order here. So, okay, yeah, and d4, again, like, I don't understand. I guess it's the tempo. This feels like the most natural move in the world. And the problem with knight d5 is that this pawn is hanging. And I'm not a pawn grubber. I'm really not. I'm a pawn sacrificer. If you watch my videos, you know that. But here, even I am willing to take the pawn. It just seems like 100% the correct move. It's like I win a pawn and I'm better developed. Hard to argue with that. And even after this, I just simply came back to f3. Now it turns out there's a better move here. So if you want to pause your video and see if you can find it, go ahead and do so now. Yeah, I'm a little surprised I didn't find this. It's because sometimes, you know, you're winning the game, your knight's attacked, you're like, oh, I'll retreat my knight and attack a pawn. What could be better than that? Well, there's this. Queen h5. Yeah, there is no g6 because we have this familiar idea. So that's pretty nice. I might even be able to take here. Not sure, but winning material is good. So that's good enough for me. Also, it's good to note that if this knight was on the g8 square, then this tactic doesn't really work, because after I'll show you, after g6 and knight takes, this knight often appears on f6, and this negates this tactic. Okay, I learned this recently. That's why I'm reinforcing it, because I lost a game due to it. So you have to watch out for knight f6, but here knight f6 isn't possible. There's a pawn there. So I think that's totally fine. Okay. So yeah, I could have been more precise with the queen h5 check, but I retreated the bishop, and honestly, I think white's winning here. So I'm not going to be too hard on myself. Again, h6, I have no idea what that is. That just provides another potential square for my pieces. So I'm not a fan of that move. Yeah, computer says play knight takes d4, which is what I do. Yeah, and we're in line of the queen. You have to be aware of that. If you play a move like this, you don't want to lose your bishop. But I analyzed the discoveries here. I don't see one. I don't. I mean, if here I take, the pawn guards the knight, so that just loses a piece. This, same thing. Loses a piece. I don't see. So there's nothing really good here. I mean, there's this, but then it's just a trade. So that's why I took that pawn, which is correct. Okay, f5 was played. Okay, and why are you playing f6 and then f5 with your king in the center? So I don't know. My opponent's rating is 1560, but I have to tell you that it feels like he's more like 1200 would be my assessment of this kind of play, where the strategy is not quite right. Okay, knight c3. He retreated the knight. Now my knight's attacked. You guys agree? But I wanted to check first so that I have bishop e7 and knight e6. I want to see if this is the best move, because I think it probably is, but I want verification. No, I'm actually wrong. Knight d to b5 is correct. Knight d to b5 like this. No idea why that's the case. My only thought is that maybe I'm going to play here and then jump in like that. So, okay. Rook check in here. This is still winning though. Now it says he should take the knight, which is what I thought he would do. But instead, queen b6. Like, excuse me for saying this, but this just feels like really low-rated chess. Like, okay, the queen is coming out and it's attacking my knight. Like, okay, I see that, I'm rated 1600, not 600. So I can do something about that. And I think a better move is to take, and the reason is it gets this bishop into the game, and then I take with the rook, and my rook might even be vulnerable here, who knows. So yeah, I don't know, but he saw it, so I retreated. I mean, knight f4 looks pretty juicy. I can come into g6, and I'm threatening stuff. So this move queen c5 I didn't understand at all, so knight g6 should probably be played. Whoa, what's going on? Oh, I attacked the queen first, then knight g6. And this should be totally winning at this point. Yeah, after queen takes, there's bishop c5, which I played in 2 seconds. Wait, how long did I really take? Okay, I really took 5 seconds. But this should be over. The queen is lost. Okay. And we'll look at my technique a little bit. Yeah, I saw that queen e7 must be a good move or okay move, but I thought after this it was hard to see like how I follow up. So I am going to ask the computer this. Like I thought king here, what should I do? It says knight b5. I don't understand that move. I guess I'm gonna do that. It wants rook e8, which I thought would probably happen. Queen d6. Yeah, it just feels, even in the computer line, this feels awkward. I mean, it feels winning, but awkward though. Like, how do you win? Okay, so I retreated the queen like so. I was thinking I could come here maybe and just keep things safe. But I really went into passive mode, which is what I do when I'm winning. Yeah, like, hey, let's trade. You know, I didn't let him take a pawn, but, you know, I'm trading and probably could even take that rook, honestly. Probably could. I almost did. I mean, this is still completely winning. Okay, but I got trade in. But you'll see, like, I get pushed back quite a bit. Yeah, and here it's like black's pretty active, but he does run out of steam eventually. And like here, bishop here. Okay, I should probably check. Yeah, and this, I don't know. I thought here he should do en passant for sure, right? I mean, this is probably the best move. I was planning queen g2 here. Oh, computer likes king g2. That makes more sense. Instead of that, my opponent played this move, but now I just have check, right? Like, this is going to be mate. Because if here takes check here, and I thought this is checkmate. And indeed it is. So, okay. So that was that game. That was a pretty easy one, I'm going to say. Which I just realized I feel bad because my opponent might be watching. But that's okay. I hope that if you are watching, you can learn from some of the stuff I mentioned in the game. I am not a great player by any means myself, but I do know some things. And I do want to look at what can I learn from this game. Turns out, oh, I think the thing I'm most upset about is missing this queen h5 thing. So anytime your opponent plays f6, you should automatically look at queen h5 check. And here it just wins faster. You know, it just wins much faster. I mean, he probably has to move the king here. So king e7, I actually have checkmate. Is that mate? Yeah, it is. These knights are quite good. So that would be really unfortunate. So g6 is the only move which allows this transaction. So anyway, I'm still on my mission to 1800, but to do that, I need to once again break 1700. But I intend to do that shortly, and we'll be back on our way. Thank you for watching, and I'll be back with more chess. Bye.